Hi guys, this is KuKy. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you how I transformed my friend's empty room into a study room. As you know, my friend gave me the task to make something nice with her apartment. It is a very empty apartment where you could hardly find anything. It has the paint on, it has the floor and everything, but it lacks any furniture. And she was left with this one room which is rather tiny, where she didn't really know what to do with it, and I was like, why not make a study room out of it? Especially during this year and last year, all of us got to know what it means to work from home. So I thought, why not give her the opportunity to do a work from home study room, so that whenever in the future she needs to work from home, she can do so in a nice environment. That is the background to today's video. As you know, I already furnished the master bedroom and the master bathroom. If you missed that, I'm going to link it above and you can check it out when you have time. But for today, let us have a quick look what the study room looked like before I started working with it. As you can see, it's not a very big room, but it gives us enough space to make a little study room out of it. As I said, a very empty room, and my idea is to transform it into a study room. I did some brainstorming and I think this room will be ideal for 1 to 2 people working together if need be, and I hope that my friend will like it. So let us get started. If you remember the time when I renovated my own rental apartment, you might remember also that it was a very bad lit space for me to make videos in. For that reason, when I was editing the videos, I was like, oh no, it's such a terrible light, I have to change something about it. And what I did change about it is that now when I work at my friend's apartment, the first thing that I install are the lights. Of course, before you can install a new ceiling light, you have to take off the socket that they leave you with when the apartment is renovated. And then the next step was to drill a few holes into the ceiling. As you can see, I've got a pentagon-shaped ceiling light, and it has a very cute casing that is wooden and I think fits perfectly into this space which has wooden bookshelves in it. As you can see, I mounted the light by myself, but I want to say if you do have the opportunity to have someone who helps you at the same time and holds a few screws, that can be very helpful, because I often found myself forgetting a screw and then I had to go back down again, and the whole ceiling light had to be disassembled again because it can't just hang there if it's not fixed properly. In the end, to protect your eyes, you know there's this protective shield that is put on top. Just make sure to put it in place and then your lamp is ready to be used. There we go, I did it all by myself. As you can see, this is a light that has 3 different settings, and I think it works perfectly in a study room environment. Now that we have light, I was thinking about different options of what to do with the study room, and I thought the best thing would be to give it a lot of storage shelves so that you can put in a lot of books, paper, your printer, and so on. Given the angle and the size of the room, the following is the design that I came up with and that I sketched out by hand. It's not the best drawing, but I hope you can see it's an L-shaped bookshelf with a desk right in front of it. And as you can see, soon after, all the wooden material arrived to assemble it onto the wall. In order for the bookshelf to fit into space, I had to have it made, and once it was put into the corner, I had a terribly messy space. First of all, let us have a quick look at what the bookshelves look like. Aren't they awesome? I think it was a perfect idea to have this done. However, installing them left behind such a mess. As you can imagine, there was a lot of woodwork that had to be done while installing the bookshelf, since a lot of the parts didn't fit properly into the corner, so they had to be adapted. And I was left with all this mess in the end and had to clean it all up before we could continue with the next step. As you might have noticed, the only thing I had made altogether were the bookshelves, but I wanted to get a separate desk that I was going to put on top of the bookshelf with only one leg to one side, as you could see in my design. And I got that separately. This meant that I had to install it myself. And one thing that I didn't consider is that the space was so small, it was really hard to turn the desk into the angle so it fits on top of the shelf. This is when the desk had just arrived in its packaging. As you can see, it was already a challenge to take it out of its packaging to begin with. It is very heavy since it's made out of wood and it has a certain thickness to it already. Once I had taken it out, the next step was to flip it over, and I had to install that one desk foot that is going to be on the right side of the desk. On the left side, as you might have seen, it's going to rest on top of the bookshelf, so it doesn't require another foot on that side. That would only take up space in the room, and as you know, there's not much space to begin with. There are no holes on the desk to secure the foot, so it's basically completely up to me where I wanted to position the foot. I tried to take into consideration how much space the foot needs so that it fits into the room. Then I got my screwdriver and I put in the additional screws. Once this was done, the most difficult part of the whole study room task emerged, mainly flipping the desk. You cannot imagine how difficult it was because the desk is so long and the room is rather small. Adding on having that foot on made it really difficult to turn it around, as you can see. I tried playing around with it for a bit and tried moving this really heavy table from one side to the other, and then I had to make sure to flip it so that it fits into the bookshelf so that the left side of the table can rest inside the bookshelf. This is definitely easier said than done. As you can see, I spent a considerable amount of time trying to flip this table. It looked very funny from the outside when people walked by and saw that there was a half-flipped table standing in the middle of the room, which obviously had encountered some logistical issues. It was very funny. But finally I was able to flip it, and the way I did it, I took up some of the compartments of the bookshelf and I had to take off the foot that I had installed earlier. That wasn't too bad because now I had already drilled the holes into the desk, so it would be very easy to get the foot back on once the table was in place. But the second problem emerged, namely the desk is a perfect fit and there is an electrical outlet that was in the way. Hence the desk was at an angle and didn't fit the way it should. The only way to solve this problem, because the space was so narrow, is by taking out the electrical outlet, having the table come down, and putting the electrical plate back in place once the desk was in its right position. And that's exactly what I did. And finally I had my desk in place and the design was exactly what I had imagined. But it was definitely the most difficult part of the whole renovation process. After having installed these hardcore pieces of furniture, it was finally the time to get the smaller items. That included the curtains, the reading light, the chair, as well as the other little things that you can put on the table in order to make it a much nicer working experience for you. I got a lot of tiny items that I think are adorable, but you're going to see it in a bit and let me know what you think about them. After having accomplished this difficult task of putting the desk in its right space, I was very keen on putting a few accessories on the table, the first of them being a reading light. As you can see, I found this golden reading light that is very tiny and doesn't take up much space, which I think is great. And you can use a remote to change the different light settings. Next, my task was to mount the curtains. As you know, to mount curtains you have to put in a few holes, and that's what I did. If you wonder what that white thing is that I put on top of my drill, I find it to be very useful when you drill holes so that all the dirt doesn't fall onto the floor and you have to clean it all afterwards. So that's why I put on that white thing on top. For the curtains that I chose, they are very simple and they have their own mechanism for them to go up and down, and I thought it would be a nice fit for these curtains in a study room as opposed to having a curtain rod and more standard curtains. I thought the color also fits nicely with the walls as well as with the furniture, and that's why I went for these curtains. Books can also make for wonderful decoration. For that reason, I decided to put in a few of my friends' books into the bookshelf to give it a real study room feel. And next on my list was the chair. Obviously, a study room needs an office chair, and I got this wonderful brown and wooden office chair, which I think looks adorable, and I can't wait to see what it will look like in the study room. I had to assemble it myself. It came in the mail, but it was very easily done. You just had to put on the bottom part, and once that was on, you just had to put the chair onto the bottom part with the wheels, and your chair is ready to be used. I think it fits perfectly into the room, mainly because of the color, also because of the texture. As you can see, the back side has a wooden texture to it, and I was able to fit in 2 seats so that 2 people can work on this desk together, which wouldn't have been possible with more standard chairs because standard chairs seem to be a bit wider. So I was happy to find these chairs and find a suitable solution for 2 to work on a desk together. Of course, the far more important thing in a study room is how to sort your papers, your books, your folders, and so on. To address that problem, I found these recycled boxes which you can use to make different folder cabinets, and I thought they look pretty neat. In particular, I really liked the color, since the recycled material fits perfectly with the color scheme that I chose for this room. You have to assemble it by yourself. It came in the mail again, but it's very easily done, and after a couple of minutes you have a bunch of different file folders for different sorts of papers, books, magazines, and so on. And here's the final result of what it looks like currently after having put in all the file folders and the chairs and everything else that we have discussed so far. Of course, an office space needs a bin. I found this bin with this little separator in the middle, and I think it makes a great addition to this room, especially since the color is a perfect fit. I got a little cover since I think protecting such a wonderful desk is very important. Then I got some accessories such as pencil holders in various shapes. Last but not least, I often sit at my desk and drink some coffee or a tea, and for that reason I think it's very important to have coasters near you so that you don't damage your table. I found these really cute coasters in the shape of a sheep once they are assembled and all put together. Obviously I thought the design is adorable, so I had to have it, but I love it even more because it's so useful. Hence she can have it on her table and use it whenever she wants to have have a drink. Finally, I put together a picture with all the accessories in a line so you can have a good look at them. Aren't they just so adorable? I'm absolutely in love with them. After having installed all of this, the last step was to install a picture onto the wall. You might have noticed that when you open the door into the study room, you will see an empty wall first, and I wanted to put something onto the wall in order to make it look nicer. I found this very nice and colorful picture frame that I thought would fit nicely into that area. As you might have realized, I love colors, so you can see that that frame is a lot of colors put together, and I think it will give this room a very nice touch. Hanging a picture frame is an easy task if you first mark both spots where you're going to put in the pins with a pencil, then you use a hammer to put in the pins, and finally you can hang your picture. What do you think about the colors? I think they fit perfectly into the space and they give it some more color. This is the end of the video. Before I show you the after pictures and what the study room looks like right now, let me show you a quick overview of what we started working with and have a quick look at the before situation. An empty room, not much to see, very boring, but with a lot of potential as we know. And now that we've seen that, let us move back to what we have now and have a quick overview of what everything looks like now after having spent all this time working on the study room. I hope you like it. Here's a view of what you see once you enter the study room. There's a little bin to the side, then we have the table that we put in with so much force, and the little accessories on top of it. I love how the wooden look of both chairs fits with the bookshelves on the other side. Also, the bookshelves make a wonderful background with all the folders for books and papers and so on. Once my friend puts in all her personal things, it will look much better, I'm sure. Obviously, I'm very proud of these little accessories on the table, as you can tell, and once again a few more detailed views of what the bookshelf looks like for your reference. To the side, the picture that we just hung, I think it does a good job at adding some color into the room. And I leave it up to you to decide what the individual parts of the picture are meant to represent. This is already the end of the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, I hope you did have the chance to check out my master bedroom and the master bathroom before. If you haven't, do make sure to check out my channel for these videos. I also made a series of renovations for my own rental apartment. If you haven't seen that, I'm going to link it above so you can check out that series as well. Of course, if you did enjoy any of these videos, I would appreciate a thumbs up as well as you following my channel so that you don't miss any of my upcoming videos. I'm going to be working on my next video right away, and I hope to be seeing you soon. Thanks for watching. See you soon. Bye.